Great to have your company this morning and great to have you back on the show, Brad Fittler.
Hey, Danica.
As always, Andrew Johns. We've been together for the last fair few weeks, and Billy Slater.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah. All girl.
It's been fun. You've missed out. We had Gus and Gal on. They were starting all sorts of fights.
Gal had the cranky head on. He was
He
hammering
did.
everyone.
Yeah. And Gus was just stirring the pot, wasn't he?
Oh, Gal.
All right, well, let's get into our Sunday salutes this morning. Joey, you're first up. What's your salute?
Mine was the Warriors over there in New Zealand yesterday. A huge crowd, over 23,000. We all know the sacrifice the Warriors made during COVID, and they're flying. The Warriors, geez, they're playing good. Great team spirit. I think everyone in New Zealand can see that. Big crowds, they're well behaved, which is a rarity over there. But well done to everyone in New Zealand, everyone in Auckland, and everyone within the Auckland Warriors flying.
It's
Well
always such a fun crowd, isn't it? They've always got quite creative signs that they've got. And
The drums were going. You could hear the drums in the background.
Shoeys?
The shoeys. Shoey Vasa Shek or something, is that what they call it?
Yeah,
Shoey
Shoey
I've got to say, shoeys are gross. They're
Yeah.
disgusting.
They're disgusting.
Yeah.
Apparently there's something called a songy, and you do it. I think that's a bit more hygienic than a shoe.
What's on?
It's one that you wear on your foot. Freddy, what's your salute this morning?
Have a crack.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's your salute?
My salute is to the Brisbane Broncos. I think that performance was the closest thing to a semi-final performance that I've seen this year. Wasn't what they did with the ball, it was just how they defended their line. Cronulla, who are an incredible attacking team, just spread you sideline to sideline, and they had plenty of opportunities. They got near the line plenty of times, and the Broncos just found a way to keep forcing them out.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. We'll be talking a fair bit more on that game later on in the show. But Billy, what's your salute?
I'm saluting the Origin players from both teams backing up this weekend. I think the majority backed up, the ones they could. Api Coruscant played 80 minutes on Wednesday night and then backed up for the Tigers. Now you feel a sense of pride when you go back to your club and back up a few days later after an Origin. Your teammates at club level and your club itself, contribute to the player that you become, and a big reason why you get the opportunity to play for Queensland and New South Wales. So I salute those players to go back and play for their clubs.
How hard?
Most of them have, haven't they?
Yeah, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow didn't go to New Zealand. I think that was probably due to the travel.
Yeah.
Selwyn didn't, obviously, 'cause
barring
of
injury.
injury.
I think everyone else is backed up.
How
Today, we'll see
hard
in a
can
lot
it be for physically and mentally to back up, especially the guys that played on Friday night after Wednesday?
Yeah, well, physically, you've got to turn yourself around really quick. It's the mental challenge to get yourself up emotionally and mentally for an Origin, and then you come down and then you've got to pick yourself back up for a club game. That's the biggest challenge, is getting yourself back up mentally.
All right, well, let's have a look at the results so far this round, and we still have a number of matches to play. But so far, we have seen the Broncos with that win over the Cronulla Sharks, the Rabbitohs with a high-scoring affair against the Titans, the Warriors a dominant display over the Dolphins, and then that nail-biter at Campbelltown with the Raiders, 20-19 winners over the Tigers. And then still to come today, the Roosters up against the Bulldogs, the Cowboys and the Storm, all that action live from 3 p.m. right here on 9. And then the Panthers taking on the Dragons at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. So, Bill, if we have a look at this ladder, what do you make of where everyone's sitting at the moment?
Well, it's been really tight for a while, and you look at that top 8, there's 4 points separating first to 8th. But what I want to focus on today is I'm going to get 2 clubs really excited, or the fans of 2 clubs, and that's the Broncos and the Rabbitohs. Now, they're the only 2 clubs in that top 8 that are still yet to have a bye. You can see they've played 14 games, and they're sitting in 3rd and 1st, respectively. So that when you look at your draw, you look at the last couple of games, they both finished with a home game, and they've got 3 byes in the last 14 rounds. So I'm expecting the Broncos and the Rabbitohs to be nice and fresh. Good clubs plan their preparation leading into that semi-finals. You'd expect both of them to be there, and with those 3 byes up their sleeves, there's 6 points guaranteed, but you also get a chance to freshen your players up and hit that semi-final in top form.
All right, well, let's dive straight into the Sunday roast. And on the menu this morning is none other than State of Origin. So let's have a quick look back at how it all unfolded on Wednesday night.
of Australia's greatest sporting rivalry, coming to you from an iconic venue. And the game is underway, Origin for 2023, and this will be a violent clash. There was a hand on Walsh, and now there's some push and shove. No, Gilbert's come flying in. Oh, Hudson Young. Well, we know he brings a bit of fire. Ball out to Munster. A roll through. The hammer! It's hammer time in Adelaide. Home shoe, a pass for Cobbo. It's another one for Queensland. An early onslaught. Oh, Cotter. Ball out to Cleary and Luai, and a pass for Martin. There's the Penrith combination. It yields the first try for New South Wales. Oh, that's enormous, Martin. Here's a loose one, picked up, Coruscant off a loose ball out of nowhere. Catch and pass by Walsh, he's nailed it. And a chance, it's a try, both the Blues miss Cobbo. Through they come, ball goes back, Luai gives it away, Crichton scores. Munster's got free of the tackle, and O'Carr has missed Tabuai Fido, and the hammer stands them up, and Queensland might be going to do it again. The lies in kick, Lindsay Collins, a one-handed upload, the Maroons have got it 1 now. The Maroons lead 1-0.
So now all attention turns to Game 2 at Suncorp Stadium in just a few weeks' time, with Queensland currently holding a 1-0 lead in the series. But there has been plenty to come out of games over the past few days that could impact Game 2, with Jai Arrow and also Cam Murray injuring themselves yesterday for the Rabbitohs. Starting off with Jai Arrow first, Billy. Have you spoken to him? Because it didn't look good. He was in a moon boot and on crutches when he left the field. No,
it didn't look good. I haven't spoken to Jai today or last night. He didn't look real healthy walking off the field. Sometimes, you can wake up the next morning and it'd be a bit better, but he's been great for Queensland over the last 3 games, Jai Arrow, and that would be a blow if he wasn't there. Already, Tom Gilbert doesn't look like feature in the rest of the series either.
What happened to Tom Gilbert?
He dislocated his shoulder. So he popped his shoulder out, and he's had scans. So I think they're still waiting for the diagnosis, but it doesn't look good for Tom. So
what does it look like for you? Do you wait and see how it unfolds with Jai Arrow? Do you start already looking to other people? Do you have people in the back of your mind that you know could come in for Jai if he's not there?
Yeah, all of the above, pretty much. Obviously, our priority is to wait and see what the scans unveil with Jai, and then we move from there. We've got guys in that position that are waiting and are certainly very capable. We'll wait to see what the scans say with Jai, and then we'll move forward. And then,
Freddy, what about Cam Murray? He went off with a groin injury
last night. Well, he's been a bit battered this year, so to see him get another injury wasn't good, but I texted him last night and communicated, and he'll get scans this morning. He said it was sore last night, and that was pretty much the conversation. But, he's just such a valuable player to us. He's been there for years now. He's a real part of the nucleus of the team. He brings something to a team that not many people have, that speed through the middle. He's got great hands, and he's tough. And to see him go down and to see him go off, that there's something that needs to be looked at. So we'll just take our time over the next couple of days.
I'm not sure how many players New South Wales used last year, but we used 22 players. So it's a full squad. It's not just any 17 will contribute in the series, and there'll be players come in, players go out for different reasons, and both teams will have their issues leading into Game 2 and Game 3.
All right, well, we are a few days on from Wednesday night, so you've had some time to look back on it. What do you assess of the Blues' performance in that game overall?
Well, there was a couple of sort of big sections. There was the first 10 minutes, we started the game okay, and then we just couldn't defend 2 penalties. They came down and they were sharp on the edge, and they had a nice kick to hammer. They both come up with tries. But that next 60 minutes, we got in the grind and scrapped our way back in with a couple of tries and got to the front. There was a point there where we're 2 points ahead. We got a restart, and Daly Cherry Evans had a couple of big kicks. He had a 40-20, and then he had the dropout where they got the ball back. And that was a disappointing part. Not retrieving that dropout, and that hurt us. And then, we just got to say, I think Queensland's last 7 minutes were great, and we just weren't as good as them in that department. They come up with some big plays, obviously Munster, and then the kick at the end of the game. But they controlled that ball in that last. While they had the player down, they pretty much controlled the ball the entire time. And I've got to say, we just, it was one of those games where I'd like to think that we let it go, but I've got to say, Queensland made sure he took that one off us.
Well, now it is a big challenge going up to Suncorp Stadium, knowing that you need a win. What do you say to the team in the sheds after Wednesday night? How do you start to have them prepared early for the challenge that lies ahead? Well,
I think it's important that you go over the game quickly, and they're going to be going through the game over their mind, and I suppose they get to play on the weekend with their footy team, so they go back to something familiar. We just spoke about some instances in the game, and then pretty much you've got to move on. You've got to go on, you've got to perform well for your club, and then after next week's game, you've got to get some healthy players and away you go again. But, extremely disappointing. To be in that position, 2 points up, you get a drop out against you, they end up with a player down, and to not win that was pretty disappointing.
Joey, in post-game, you spoke about the Blues attack. That was an area that you saw that there needed to be a lot more improvement. Where exactly do you see it?
A lot of balls went to ground. A lot of the passes, especially when they're going wide, especially to the right side, to Tom Trebojevich's side, a lot of balls sort of hit the ground. It's just, I think, just connecting from the middle of the field to the edge. Got to get some more ball to the edge, clean ball, and just probably simplify how they're going to run out wide. Because there's great strike out wide. It was sort of a funny game. It was really funny. It was a funny origin, and a couple of things contributed to that. The penalties. There was, what have I got? There's 14 penalties blown. We're normally at 7 or 8, and there was also 4 6-to-goes. So it was sort of very stop-start. New South Wales, a lot of our ball was either inside the 20 of Queensland or coming out of trouble. There was no sort of that middle field attack. And it's the hardest spot, it might sound funny, but inside that 10 metres of the opposition, it's the hardest spot to attack, especially it's slippery at night. So, I found it a stranger. I don't know whether it was because we called the game on an oval surface and we're a long way away. It just felt different. I don't know what the stats showed you boys, but it just felt like a different sort of origin.
Bill, how proud were you of your side's performance, especially considering, what went on with players, coming off, players getting sin-binned, and to win it like you did?
Yeah, firstly, I think, we've got 2 quality teams, right? And that was evident with multiple lead changes. There's not much between these 2 sides, and it never really has been. For us, to lose both of our wingers at a period in the game, lost both of our back rowers. We had a halfback in Ben Hunt and a forward in Dave Fafita playing in the centres to finish the game with 1 man in the sin bin, and we were down on the scoreboard. To come back from that and come out on top, that was something to be really proud of. The resilience and never give up sort of attitude is something that we try and pride ourselves on as Queenslanders. But it wasn't easy for them. New South Wales had 6 more full sets. Penalty count was 10-6 against us, and twice as much ball in attacking zones. So, those stats certainly don't sit well with us. We need to try and rectify some of those things and look to improve. But some of the individuals just came up with some big plays in big moments, and at the end of the game, that's what told.
What about Selwyn Cobbo? Do we think that he'll be fit for game 2?
Yeah, not too sure. He obviously wasn't fit for the Broncos to play last night. He had an issue with his hip. So we'll see how he goes throughout the week and whether he can take the field for the Broncos and make a decision off the back of that.
And whenever, a team loses the opening game of State of Origin, there's always those calls for whether there will be changes. Do you expect to make changes to your side? I know that a lot of people have been critical of James Tedesco's performance, but then there also has been a lot of people that have come out in support of him following the criticism.
Yeah, I think getting used to the Sydney media is something the players need to do, and I think they are getting that way. But I think we've got 2 weeks to go. Teddy will play today for the Roosters, I'm pretty sure. They've got Canterbury. They're the late. I think they're the late game. But no, I think we'll just wait and see. It's simple as that.
There's people coming out bagging James Tedesco. They're embarrassing themselves. It just goes to show how little they know about the game. He's New South Wales captain. He's been one of the best players for the last 5-6 years. And if you have a look at his stats in that game, once again, I spoke about the stop-start nature of the game, so it's very hard to get any flow in that middle of the field. For them to come out and be bagging James Tedesco is absolutely clueless. It's ridiculous. I was laughing about it. I just can't believe people will be putting the heat on our captain. But not only that, the best player they've had for 5-6 years. It's laughable. Absolutely laughable.
You think it's really unfair on Tedesco?
No, it's not unfair. It's just, I don't know where it comes from. It's just, I absolutely laugh. When I saw it, I was like, how could you even say that? He's one of the best players for the last 5-6 years. He competed so hard the other night. And for people to come out and bag him, it just goes to show how clueless people are.
All right, well, let's get into our Arnott's shapes of play. We've got some of the shapes here.
Right.
A couple of flavours as well. So Origin key players and how they shaped up on Wednesday night. Starting off with Reece Walsh. Billy, his performance, I know you spent a lot of time working with him one-on-one in that fullback position. What did you make of his debut?
Yeah, I think Reece, the Queensland people and certainly his teammates would be really proud of his performance. He came up with some nice plays, a pass to Selwyn Cobbo to score a try, but I think it was his willingness to perform a role for the team and whatever needed to happen. Took some crucial high balls and just played that real foundation football of that position. And I was really proud of him. Didn't surprise me. No, I certainly knew he had that sort of performance in him, and it was good to see that he backed up last night. He's a young fella and obviously pretty early in his career to back up for the Broncos, who helped contribute getting him there. That was a good sign.
Was he nervous beforehand? How was he before?
Yeah, no, he's pretty nervous. I was nervous. And I'm 40 this year. So I can imagine how he was feeling at 20. It means a lot to him. Footy means a lot to him, and he had a great preparation. He was really excited. He brought a lot of energy, and that's how he played.
All right, Nico Hines. Freddie, for you, how did he shape up? He didn't get a lot of time out on the field?
Crispy.
No, he didn't get a lot of time, but he went into a position. He trained there during the week. And when you only get 10 minutes, sometimes you don't get an opportunity to get into the game. And I said before that Queensland really controlled that last 10 minutes of the game. So the things we normally see in Nico is that moving the ball and spreading the ball. He never got a chance to do it. And watch him play for Cronulla, he never stopped once again. He's the glue in their team. He gets the ball going left to right, right to left. He does everything for Cronulla at the moment. Everything comes off him. And I thought, watching him play for Cronulla last night, I thought showed a really strong mentality to go back there and just direct things like he did. It didn't turn out his way. But if you see how many tries they saved, he definitely did his job.
Is it something you consider getting him into the action earlier for game 2?
We've got 2 weeks to go, so let's just wait and see what happens, and we'll make a decision then.
Yes, it was a good week for a Queenslander, but a tough week to be a New South Wales Blue, and Millie Boyle joins us now on the desk. Millie, great to have you on. That was a tough result on Thursday night for the New South Wales side.
Yeah, it was. It was very disappointing as a player, but more so, for the game, it wasn't up to standard. It wasn't what we wanted to give the viewers, and for the people that have come out to watch, it wasn't, our best performance, that's for sure.
Do you think that's got something to do with the fact that your competitions, you play a competition at the start of the year, you haven't played for a month or so, and then you play a competition at the end of the year?
Yeah, definitely. We haven't played together, that's for sure. And then, those combinations that you want to build over the weeks leading into it just aren't there. We haven't had the standard of footy. We've been playing local footy, but that finished 5-6 weeks ago, and you've got girls that haven't played in such a long time. So, handling errors and decision making and things like that just aren't up to scratch.
I thought also what contributed to it was the slippery conditions, the dewy surface, which all our biggest games are at night. This is where we've got to come up with some sort of plan to get the dew and slipperiness out of the field. Did you find that?
Well, yeah, we definitely saw that. But I mean, if you've got any recommendations on getting the... Yeah, what's that?
How would you do it?
Oh, we'll talk about it after at the end of this, but we'll talk through the game.
Yeah, no, look, it was very wet. There was a lot of, like we said, a lot of errors, a lot of people just getting hit where the ball was, and it was just coming out. Yeah, not, yeah.
Millie, the first time that it's more than a one-game series. Obviously, that's good news for New South Wales. What's the focus heading up to Townsville in a couple of weeks' time?
Yeah, I think we'll just re-grip and, the coaches will do their things. But there was we saw a lot of good glimpses in that game, and then maybe just, thinking about that two-game series, thinking, OK, we're behind by 8, but we were probably trying to make up for tries because it comes down to the points. So we probably just stopped playing out the footy that we should have been playing.
So you've got to win by 9.
We've got to win by 9, which
so technically
win
ridiculous.
By 9, but because you hold the trophy.
No, it doesn't. It's changed.
Aggregate
So on the day we
now.
went into camp, they changed that, which is sweet. Like, it's got to be fair, and that is fair. But you would think that just a 3-game
So
makes more
the
sense.
easiest way to explain it is really you should go in with the scoreboard at 18-10.
Yeah, or just minus 8.
Yeah,
And then,
that's the
Minus
way you
8
look
and
at
0.
it. We did see.
The scoreboards have a minus. They wouldn't have
surely.
a minus.
No,
they
if you-
don't.
They
if
have
you
a
go in at-
minus.
If you go
girls'
in at
origin.
18-10, then it works out
Yeah,
that
then it can
way.
go on from there.
We did see Isabel. I'm good with numbers. Isabel Kelly go down in quite a frightening incident. She went into hospital. How is she doing at the moment?
Yeah, she's much better now. It was very disappointing to see her go off the field like that. It's so sad for Julia Robinson as well. It definitely was unintentional, and you can see that she stayed with her and they're actually quite good friends. And very, very crazy scenes there. She spent 2 nights in ICU as well just to make sure that she didn't have a fracture in the throat, and she got cleared of that. So, yeah, very, very...
She play next game?
Hopefully, or not too sure. She has to do a few more tests and see. But I think Julia Robinson, because we don't have any footy in between, she will miss the next Origin, which is really unfortunate for her.
Now, one of the things that happened in the game was the referee didn't stop the game. Now, they scored at the end of that set. But part of that problem was Isabel Kelly was still in the sheds when Hughes went in at half-time. What was that like? Can you explain what it was like, Isabel Kelly in the sheds while Hughes went in to talk about the half and going into the next half?
Yeah, so she went into the medical room. So we were in our sheds, but there was a lot of chop and changing. It was only 30 seconds before half-time that she ended up coming off, but there was that whole set where they ended up scoring off, which, they did well, and you play to the ref's whistle, and they definitely did that. And yeah,
How was she in the sheds?
We didn't actually see her, and then they told us that she'd be going to hospital, and you just have to move on and try and, get your head back in the game and start the second half how you want it. So, yeah, it was all happening.
Just going back to the slippery surface, Joey, what would be your solution?
Well, we saw last night at Shark Park, when there's wind, there's no dew on the surface. So it's, in England they have the heaters underneath the ground. We haven't got that technology here, I don't think, in any of the grounds. But
Money.
if we have super soppers, they have at the cricket to get the excess sort of water off the top. But if they get some massive big industrial fans, and before the game, just blow the hell out of the game, get 4 or 5 at different, because it totally affects the performance of the game. Millie spoke about how slippery it is. It's very hard to transfer the ball laterally. And then you look in Adelaide, there's 2 or 3 New South Wales players slipped over. So I think it's something the NRL and people within Rugby League have to look at, because all our big games are at night, and when it's slippery and dewy, it's hard to play.
A couple of helicopters might fix that.
No, but you know what I'm talking about.
Dropping
When
on the
the
30 metre
wind's
line.
I
there,
couldn't see nothing going wrong there. No.
You can get
Dropping helicopters inside.
at the Australian Open, they've got because it gets so hot down there, they've got all these big giant fans that everyone can go and
just try to do something. Have a conversation.
There are things. There's dew suppressant that they put in there that's like a,
But the big one is
spray or
naturally, if there's a strong breeze blowing, there is no dew. So
It's actually a good point, because in Adelaide, when we traded in the captain's run, it was greasy and slippery on the top of the surface. There was a little bit of wind in Adelaide, which actually dried the top of the surface out a little bit. So if you get a bit of wind...
But Adelaide's open.
Yeah.
One end of Adelaide was open, and it was a northerly, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was a northerly. So you look at our stadiums like you're talking about, Allianz, Combank, Suncorp,
That northern end.
Accor. Mate, where are you getting the wind? You got to open up one of the ends.
Now, one of the things that was picked up in sort of the post time of that game, there was on social media, you could see someone's tape. Here we go. We've got it here.
I saw that.
And
only
on the tape it says
on.
rum and Coke.
I know. I thought, is that my hand? And then I realised it's not.
I'm a bourbon drinker.
And that's a true. Yeah.
Is that like, okay, if we win the game, this is my result afterwards, or?
It's a message to Jimmy Brink.
I'm not really sure. That was Shania Power
Yeah.
from the Queensland team, so bit of motivation
From
for her.
Bundaberg.
What's the weirdest?
Bundaberg.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen anyone write on their strapping?
That there.
Rum and Coke. Have you seen anything?
Some people have been in trouble for things every now
Yes,
and then
yes.
come out, so you got to be careful.
Could be a sponsorship or
cameras.
something. She could be doing a.
Who knows? Well, she could be getting one now. All right, and if you want to get your tickets for Game 2, you can get them now. You can witness history as the Sky Blues and Maroons head to Townsville for what is shaping up to be a Game 2 epic on June 22. So get your tickets at nrl.com/tickets. So, Millie, when do you guys go into camp ahead of this one?
Not too sure. They'll have to pick another camp, and but we will go straight up to Townsville to get stuck into the camp. We won't be doing anything in Sydney, so that'll be a week before the game.
So you'll do the whole camp up in Townsville?
Up in Townsville.
I don't know if there'll be any dew up in town. So
Yeah.
Should be right with that.
Look, should be good.
All right. Well,
Send some fans up.
yeah. Well, Joey's got plenty of them up in Queensland. Millie, you're hanging around for Freddy's pass-off.
Yes,
We're looking
I am.
forward to this. We'll let you go warm up in the back of the studio.